أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإنه لتنزيل رب العالمين نزل به الروح الأمين على قلبك لتكون من المنذرين بلسان عربي مبين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم آمين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, this is your brother Isa Ma. In this video, I want to talk about why you should study the Arabic language. Although this is somewhat of a cliche topic, but I believe there would be some merit in a Chinese brother talking about this topic because in my experience, the Chinese language is one of the furthest from the Arabic language in terms of its roots, in terms of its rules, in terms of its constructions, etc. So as a Chinese person who studied the Arabic language to some extent, I would like to encourage you to study the Arabic language and give you some motivations, inshallah. So in the ayat I recited in the beginning from Surah Ash-Shu'ara, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and indeed it is a revelation from Lord of the worlds, carried down by the trustworthy spirit, which is Jibreel alayhi salam, upon your heart, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, so that you may be one of the warners, and it is in the clear Arabic language. So whenever people talk about why it is important to study the Arabic language, it is common for non-Arabs to feel a sense of unfairness. Like, it's easy for Arabs. They are born in that culture. They're brought up in that environment. It's as if, life is easier for them. And it's unfair for us non-Arabs. We have to go through this long journey in order to study one of the hardest languages in the world. So first of all, I want to talk about an understanding that we should have before we even talk about the reasons for studying the Arabic language. And that is, the word Islam means total submission. We as Muslims do not only submit to Allah's commands and prohibitions and regulations, we also submit to all of his selections, decisions, choices. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَرَبُّكَ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيَخْتَارُ, and your Lord creates whatever he wishes and selects, chooses what he wishes. وَمَا كَانَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَرَةُ, and there is no decision for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed everything, including in what language will the final revelation be in, including from which land the final prophet alayhi salatu wasalam will be sent forth. So it is not a coincidence, it is not a random event that the final revelation, the Qur'an, is in Arabic language. It is no coincidence that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an Arab, is an Arab. All of these are decisions and selections by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we as Muslims should submit to his decision and to his selection wholeheartedly, 100%, with pleasure and with celebration. We should be totally happy. No matter whether Arabs or non-Arabs, we should be totally happy that the revelation is in the Arabic language. And as Allah mentioned, Arabiy Mubin, in the clear Arabic language, he made this decision. We welcome it, we embrace it, we're happy about it, we pleasantly accept it, and then we move on to, work on ourselves to suit this decision and selection by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not because of any human artificial reason that we need to study the Arabic language. It is this divine reason. It is because of this divine choice. Hypothetically, had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chosen another language for the final revelation, say German or Chinese, then all of the Muslims around the world should study that language, right? Then if the final revelation had been in Chinese, then all the Arabs should study the Chinese language wholeheartedly, happily, pleasantly, because that's the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So now, once we understand this part, no matter which country we're from, what language we speak, we should be happy that the Qur'an is in the Arabic language. We shouldn't complain, right? And we shouldn't be confused. we shouldn't ask why that is the case. We should rather acknowledge this reality and work on ourselves to make the best use of this reality. Now, let's move on to some of the specific reasons why you should study the Arabic language. And you may have heard some of this before, but inshallah, reminders will benefit the believers. Number one, it's actually related to my previous video, why you should memorize the Qur'an. So when you understand the Arabic language, it will be much easier for you to memorize the Qur'an. It will be very easy for you to connect one ayah to the next one if there is a logical connection, and most of the time there's a logical connection. It will be very easy for you to connect one passage with the next one. So memorization of the Quran becomes easier, although muscle memory is still very important, right? To be a firm hafiz of the Quran, you still need a lot of repetition, a lot of supervisions. But if you understand the Arabic language, memorizing the Quran will be faster and will be easier and also more enjoyable, because there are a lot of people in the world who memorize the Quran without understanding the meaning at all. So to them, then it is a mechanical process. They're just repeating the sounds, right? There's no relation with their mental process. Of course, it wouldn't be an enjoyable thing to do. But if you understand the language and, as you are memorizing, you're also repeating a story and you are generating new ideas, you are having new reflections, you are having new understandings, then it becomes a much more enjoyable experience. It is not a mechanical process anymore, right? It is a rational and even spiritual process. So that's the first reason. Studying the Arabic language will help you memorize the Quran, make it easier for you, make the journey faster and more enjoyable. The second reason why you should memorize the Quran is so that you can be more emotionally attached when you make the ad'iyah in the Arabic language. Although it is clear that we can make dua in any language we want, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who taught all languages. He understands all languages. You can make dua in your own language. There's no problem in that. But there's also no doubt that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his dua was the most precise, was the most beautiful, was the most concise, was the most well articulated expressions and constructions of supplications. And similarly, that can be said about the Anbiya, the previous prophets, and about the Sahaba, about the early generations of the Muslims, because they are closer to the revelation than us, chronologically, geographically, spiritually, and physically. So their dua a lot of times have that special kind of wisdom in it that you perhaps wouldn't be able to utter in your own words as a person living in the 21st century. So that's why it's very important for us to learn the al-ad'iyatul ma'thura, the narrated supplications from the Prophet, the Sahaba, the early generations, the scholars, the Anbiya, etc. And I believe every Muslim would have learned some of such ad'iyah, these supplications. But if you don't understand the Arabic language, you may know the general meaning of the sentence, of the dua, but you don't have that word-by-word connection with the supplication you're making, right? Then that reduces your emotional connection with this dua. And dua literally means a call, right? You're calling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're having a conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how can a person enjoy that conversation if he doesn't even know what he's talking, if he doesn't even know what he's saying? Right? So if you study the Arabic language and you understand those ad'iyah word by word, then when you make that dua, it will be a whole different experience. You're not only asking for something, you're having a conversation. You're having a connection here with the Lord of the words. And you will also memorize this dua faster. Again, it's easier for you to remember them because you know what you're saying. And it will be easier for you to find the most appropriate dua for the given occasion because of your understanding. So that's the second reason. It will help us appreciate and utilize al-ad'iyatul ma'thura, the narrated dua, those that are in the Arabic language. And this too should be enough, actually. But if you want a third one, then there is another one which was alluded to earlier a little bit. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's an Arab man, right? He grew up in Mecca. He lived in the Arab Arabic Peninsula all his life. So the seerah, the hadith, his life inevitably has this strong connection with the Arabic language and Arabic culture. You will find in many ahadith, in many narrations, sometimes in order to explain a concept or convey an idea, a message, he would use some metaphors that the Arabs were familiar with, because this is his nation, right? This is his living environment. So if you study the Arabic language and the culture along with it, naturally, you will also understand these narrations better. You will also have a stronger connection with your Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, we can learn about his life and the things that he said, the things that he did in any translation. Right? You can get to the spirit of that, and you can still generate a lot of emotions and love, even by learning the translation. But I'm pretty sure that you know in your heart that without knowing exactly what he said in the original Arabic language, you are still barred from the full experience of learning about his seerah and about his ahadith. Right? It's different when someone says, Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasallam said, and whatever comes afterward is what he actually said, is the utterance that he uttered. That is different from learning in your own language, a different language, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said something in the meaning of this, right? In the translation, it's the meaning of what he said, not the real words that he said. But in the Arabic language, it is actually the words that he said. So there is a stronger emotional connection as well if you know the Arabic language. When you repeat a hadith in Arabic language, knowing that this is a sentence uttered by the Prophet ﷺ, the impact is different. So in order to even strengthen the love for the Prophet ﷺ and this connection with him, not a technical connection as a Muslim and his Nabi, but even a personal connection from the lover and the beloved. We should know his language. We should strive to know what he said exactly. We should strive to understand his life, his words, and his actions in the context that they were in, which had a lot to do with the Arabic language. So that's the third reason. I mentioned 3 reasons why you should study the Arabic language after the mentality that we wholeheartedly accept and are glad about the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the final revelation is in Arabic. The 3 reasons are, again, in summary, it will help you memorize the Qur'an. It will help you appreciate and utilize the various dua in the Arabic language. It will help you strengthen your connection with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in terms of loving him and following him. You might say that I tried, but it's very hard, so I give up. No one is asking you to become an expert in Arabic, right? There are only few people who can really reach the advanced level of the Arabic language, which indeed is a very hard language. And people have different levels of talents when it comes to languages, right? Linguistic capacities. So it's understandable that you won't be able to become an expert of the Arabic language, knowing all the i'rab of every single word in every single sentence. That's not required of you. But rather, we are very clear with our purposes. We learn the Arabic language in order to understand the Qur'an, the word of Allah, in order to understand the Prophet, the Messenger of Allah, in order to practice our deen with better cohesion, with more emotional experience, with more spiritual growth. And if you have that clear goal, then however much you learn, you will enjoy it and you will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. If you have that niyyah, you're learning the Arabic language, not to talk with Arabs, right? Not to get a discount when you go buy something in an Arab shop, but to have a better Islam, to be a better Muslim, then inshallah you will be rewarded and Allah Azza wa Jalla will help you with tawfiq, bi-idhnillah. So keep trying. There are so many people who would be willing to spend a lot of money and time learning English so that they can have a better career, or to learn another language so that they can migrate to another country for dunyawi purposes. Then we should have even higher motivation and a stronger zeal for the learning of the Arabic language because it helps with our akhirah, inshallah. So I hope you benefited from this video, and if you did, share this video with those who you think need the message as well. And if you love these videos, then you can subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified with future videos. And let me know what you think in the comment section. I'd love to respond. So thank you for watching this video. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.